A simple question turns into a tense showdown as Karoline Leavitt fires back at reporters during a meeting with Donald Trump and Viktor Orban. What happens next quickly shifts the tone of the room.
You said affordability was a common job, and you said last night you didn't want to talk about affordability.
I talked about it. When did I not want to talk about it? I talk about it all the time. We are much better than Biden and all of them. Now, just so you understand, do you remember that the Biden administration had the highest inflation in 48 years, but most people say ever recorded? Do you remember that? Right? Do you remember it?
So, yeah.
Did they have the highest inflation in 48 years? Did they? Just answer me the question. You know the answer. The answer is yes. They had the worst inflation in 48 years. We have almost no inflation. We're down now to 2%, and we'll be at maybe 1%. You want to always stay above 1%, actually. You want a little tiny bit of inflation. We're at a perfect number. They were at the highest level in recorded history, okay? And when you talk about affordability, that one fact. Now, let's talk about the second biggest subject after inflation, energy. We're going to be at $2 gasoline. We're going to be approximately $2 very soon. We're a little bit above $2 right now for gasoline. Now, under Biden, it was $4.50. It even hit $5, but it was $4, $3.50. We're going to be at $2 a gallon. So gasoline's much less. Energy costs are less. When you have energy and when you have gasoline less, everything else follows. It's such a big category. So when you have lower energy prices, which I think you admit we do substantially, that means everything else. So we are the victors on affordability. But if I watched that election, which I was not much involved in, I didn't support Virginia, the candidate, didn't do a lot of support for the other candidates. They asked me about Cuomo, and I said, well, it's a question, do you want a thug or do you want a communist? I mean, that was my response. So I wasn't involved in that stuff too much. But I will say this. If you look at affordability, which they campaigned on, they lied because they talked about, oh, prices are up. No. Prices are down under the Trump administration, and they're down substantially. Energy prices are down by 30, 35, 40%. Gasoline is way down. And the other big thing is inflation is way down. The biggest thing is inflation. The second biggest thing is energy. Energy is way down, and what's also down? Gasoline. Also, the biggest thing is inflation, and it's way down. We took over a mess, the highest inflation in recorded history. Some people would say 48 years. I'll take either one of them. But I believe it's the highest inflation in recorded history. That alone makes it impossible for them to have done a good job affordability-wise. And one other thing. When I came into office, Victor, 2 days into office, they were screaming at me about the cost of eggs. I was there for 2 days. Eggs had quadrupled. And I said, listen, I just got here. Let me check it out. And they were right. Eggs had gone up by 3-4 times. Within a period of a few months, we had eggs down to a normal cost. We did a great job on groceries and affordability. The only problem is the fake news. You people don't want to report it. And in fact, I'd like to ask Karoline. Where's Karoline? I'd like to ask Karoline a question. Where is she? Did she? She deserted us. She deserted me. Our great Karoline superstar deserted me. Anyway,
how long? Sir,
she's right outside.
Mr. President.
How long?
She was going to talk about because the fake news yesterday, they talked about that. They said, oh, I don't want to talk about affordability. The reason I don't want to talk about affordability is because everybody knows that it's far less expensive under Trump than it was under Sleepy Joe Biden.
Yes, sir.
And the prices are way down. Caroline?
Yes, sir.
Could you discuss that question that was asked and how it was asked in such a fake, disgusting manner by the fake news?
Yeah, and I just saw it asked again here, and it's very unfortunate that the reporters in this room refuse to address, sir, what you just said, which is that you inherited the worst inflation crisis in modern American history, and you are fixing it in 10 short months. And your entire administration has been tasked with this effort, from Treasury Department to Agriculture Department to the National Economic Council right here at the White House. They are slashing regulation. He signed the largest middle-class tax cut in 6 months. In 6 months, in record time, putting more money back into the American people's pockets. So affordability is what the American people elected this president to do, and he is doing it, and you guys refuse to cover it, and you refuse to cover that the previous administration created the worst unaffordability crisis in American history. And I've been watching the TV all day saying that he doesn't want to talk about affordability. That's what he's working on every day, and that's what
I'm talking about right
doing.
now. But you know why they refuse to cover it? Because they're fake news. That's why. Go ahead.
Can I get her for a moment?
Sure. Caroline, the Prime Minister would like you to work for him in Hungary.
Please consider.
Thank you.
You know what? It's a very good decision you just made. Please don't leave us.
On the shutdown, Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
you spoke to Republicans.
The exchange highlights a familiar but intensifying dynamic between the press and the administration. What begins as a policy-focused question on affordability quickly turns into a broader clash over narrative control. Karoline Leavitt doesn't just answer the question, she challenges the premise behind it, signaling a shift from defense to direct confrontation. At the center of the moment is the improvements are being overlooked or misrepresented. By pointing to inflation trends and energy costs, the argument is framed around measurable outcomes. However, the sharp tone suggests this isn't just about data. It's about frustration with how that data is being communicated to the public. Donald Trump amplifies that message by turning the spotlight back on the media, accusing them of ignoring positive developments. Political strategy, redefining criticism as bias. This approach resonates strongly with supporters, but also deepens the divide with critics who view it as dismissive of legitimate scrutiny. The presence of Viktor Orban adds another layer to the moment. While not directly involved in the exchange, his participation media clash, but a display of leadership style on a global stage. Ultimately, this moment reflects more than a disagreement over affordability. It captures the ongoing struggle over trust, credibility, and control of the narrative. As both sides dig in, these exchanges continue to shape public perception, influencing how policies are understood and how leadership is judged. Media clash, but a display of leadership style on a global stage. Ultimately, this moment reflects more than a disagreement over affordability. It captures the ongoing struggle over trust, credibility, and control of the narrative. As both sides dig in, these exchanges continue to shape public perception, influencing how policies are understood and how leadership is judged. There's also a strategic element in how the administration bundles multiple economic talking points together. By linking inflation, energy prices, and everyday costs, Donald Trump presents a simplified, unified argument that overall affordability is improving. This approach can be effective in messaging, but it also invites scrutiny, since different economic indicators don't always move in the same direction for all Americans.